Hi, good evening, everyone. The topic that I'm going to take for today is limit and continuity. And I'm going to go ahead and take some past year questions of DSC. Look at the first question, beta. This is from DSC 2012. Let's look at the question. It says the function is, this is defined, huh? Defined. I don't know why I wrote declined. The function defined by, you're given a function and it is asking how many roots does this function has. Does it have 5 real roots, no real roots, 3 real roots, or 1 real root? That's the question. Huh? Okay, now let's see. See, you are given this function. So the first thing that you can go ahead and you can do is you can just differentiate this function. So when I will differentiate this function, I will get 5x to the power 4 plus 21x square plus 13. This is what I will get after differentiating this function. Clearly, we can see that f dash x is greater than 0. Why? Because you see this is even power. X to the power 4 can never be negative. X to the power 2 can never be negative. So this will be positive. This will be positive. This is positive. So clearly we can see that your function that we are talking about, the f dash x, that is strictly greater than 0. It is strictly positive. Now, because f dash x is strictly greater than 0, it means that it is an increasing function. And we know that whenever we have an increasing function, the function can cut x-axis at most one time. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा maximum एक बारी वो cut कर सकता है. So whenever the function is an increasing function, it can cut the x-axis at most one time. At most, maximum. शायद ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि बेटा function is increasing but it is like this. So it is never cutting the x-axis. Or it is possible that it can at most cut it once, right? But it cannot cut it more than once because it is a strictly increasing function. So this means that या तो वो x-axis को cut ही नहीं कर रहा, so it will have 0 roots, or it will have 1 root. So currently the two options that we have right now is that either it has 0 roots or it has 1 root. Now what we can go ahead and we can do is we can find whether the function goes from negative to positive. Because if the function takes some negative values and then the function takes some positive values, then we can be sure that definitely it is cutting the x-axis. So I need to evaluate the function a bit and I need to check whether this function is taking sometimes negative value and sometimes positive value. And this is exactly what I am going ahead and doing in this case. So what I am doing is I am checking what will be the value of the function at x equal to 0. And when I plug 0 in this function, I will get 0 plus 0 plus 0 minus 18. So when I plug in 0 into the function, then I go ahead and I see that I am getting a negative answer. And similarly, when I plug in 1 into the function, I am seeing that I am getting a positive answer. So what we are seeing in this case is that the function, देखो maximum वो एक बार x-axis को cut कर सकता है, and we are saying that okay, it is taking some negative value and okay, it is taking some positive value. So we can see in this case that the function goes from negative to positive. The function is taking some negative value, minus 18 ले रहा है, and then it is taking plus 3 here. So it means that it must have cut the x-axis at least once. And it is a strictly increasing function. So once is the other time it cannot cut the x-axis. So from intermediate value theorem, we know that this function can have maximum 1 root, right? It is going to have maximum 1 root. This is the answer to this question. Okay, now let's go ahead and look into the second question. It is going to be useful for any exam beta because it is anyways just a revision of different topics. So it's a little high level, I understand. So it is more useful for ISI, IIT GATE paper. Nevertheless, practicing questions based on limit, continuity, domain, range is always fruitful. So this is always useful for you to practice, right? Okay, let's look into this question now. It says you have a function R to R, and it is a real valued function defined on the set of real numbers. And it says that the function is differentiable and f of 3 is given to you as 2. And f dash x is between 3 to 4. It says then f of 5 will lie in the following interval. This is a question again beta based on Delhi School of Economics paper. And we need to find out what will be f of 5. Okay, let's look into the question. Now, to solve such questions where you have to find the interval of the value of the function, मतलब मुझे ये निकालना है कि f of 5 कहाँ lie करेगा. In order to do such things, what you can go ahead and do is you can apply LMVT, Lagrange Mean Value Theorem, LMVT. And what does the mean value theorem suggest? The mean value theorem suggests that there exists a C such that f dash C is equal to f of B minus f of A upon B minus A. So this C exists such that f of f dash C, when you will differentiate this function, it will be equal to f of B minus f of A upon B minus A. बेटा अब वापस इस क्वेश्चन पे आ जाओ, देखो ध्यान से समझो बात को. Now I asked, the question is asking me, it is telling me that f dash x is between 3 to 4. The question is also telling me that the value of the function at 3 is 2. And now the question is asking me to find what will be the interval of f of 5. This is what it is asking me. Huh? So now using the mean value theorem, I have said that there exists a C, एक ऐसा C exist करता है such that f dash C will be f of 5 minus f of 3 upon 5 minus 3. And ये जो f of 3 है, this is actually given to me as 2. So instead of f of 3, I am going to go ahead and plug this value 2. And niche, this is just 5 minus 3. This is 2. Right? So therefore, this C that exists between 3 to 5 is such that this follows this property. बेटा बड़ा ही सिंपल बात है. अगर मैं ध्यान से देखूं और मैं इससे f of 5 निकालने की कोशिश करूं, I will get 2f dash c plus 2 will be f of 5. ये f of 5 की वैल्यू आ जाएगी. बट एक और चीज यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट गिवन है. व्हाट इज दैट थिंग? दैट यू नो व्हाट, whenever you will find any derivative, that derivative value will only lie between 3 to 4. आप कोई भी डेरिवेटिव निकालो इस फंक्शन का, वो 3 और 4 के बीच में ही लाई करेगा. दिस इज गिवन टू यू. तो बेटा अगर मैं डेरिवेटिव को c पे इवेल्युएट करती हूं, इफ आई इवेल्युएट द डेरिवेटिव इवन एट c, then also it will lie between 3 and 4 only. So one more thing now I know that this f dash c actually lies between 3 to 4. ये जो वैल्यू है बेटा, ये 3 to 4 के बीच में लाई करती है. This is additional information given to me. So now I can just go ahead and quickly solve this. That f dash c must lie between 3 to 4. This is based on the information given to me. So if I multiply 2 on both sides, 2f dash c will lie between 6 to 8. And if I add 2 on both sides, then I will get 2f dash c plus 2 will lie between 8 to 10. Will lie between 8 to 10. So this is 8 and this is 10. But this 2f dash c plus 2, this is nothing but f of 5. Right? So I can just replace this with f of 5, which will lie between 8 to 10. So the interval that I have got is going to be between 8 to 10, right? So it's very simple. I have basically just used the mean value theorem, which says that whenever you want to define any derivative f dash c, then the derivative is simply going to be f of b minus f of a upon b minus a, such that c should lie between this interval. I've just used that property. Okay, look at the next question. This is DSC 2009. Padho question ko beta. It says you have a function and this function is defined with this. And it is asking you what are going to be the critical points of the function. So beta, critical point kya hota hai? Critical point of the function is that point such that, बहुत important है, such that whenever you have to go ahead and you have to evaluate the function, it should go ahead and it should give you 0 at its derivative. That is the critical point of the function. So सबसे पहले हम ये देख लेते हैं. I have not written it anywhere, but I will just write the definition of the critical point. Please write down. A critical point is any point such that f dash x will give you 0. When you will evaluate this function, it will give you 0. That is what a critical point is. अब ये बोल रहा है कि मेरे पास एक ये function given है बेटा, and it is asking me how many critical points will this function have. Tell me something. शुरू से देखो बेटा, if I just evaluate this function, we can just by looking at the function identify that this function takes the value 0 when x is 0. अगर x 0 होगा तो function की value 0 हो जाएगी. This function also takes the value 0 when x is 10. अगर x को 10 plug in करेंगे तो भी function की value 0 हो जाएगी. It takes the value 0 when x is 20. अगर x को 20 plug in करेंगे तो भी function का value 0 हो जाएगा. And it takes the value 0, this is 30, हाँ, even when x is 30, तो भी function का value 0 हो जाएगा. So one thing that I can see about this function, ये बहुत important चीज हमने देखी कि इस function की value when it is evaluated at 0, when it is evaluated at 10, when it is evaluated at 20, and when it is evaluated at 30, the value of this function remains the same. And the value of this function is simply 0. अब ये एक बहुत बड़ा hint है that I can use Rolle's theorem in this. And what does Rolle's theorem suggest? Rolle's theorem suggests that if your function is continuous in the closed interval AB, and if your function is differentiable in the open interval AB, and if the value of f of A and f of B are equal to each other, then there exists a C between the interval AB such that f dash C is 0. मतलब इसका मतलब ये है बेटा that I am saying that f of 0 और f of B की 10 की वैल्यू सेम है. मतलब एक ऐसा C exist करेगा C1 such that when the function is differentiated at that C1 you will get 0. उसी तरीके से 10 और 20 का वैल्यू भी सेम है 0. मतलब एक ऐसा C लाई करेगा such that f dash C will be 0. Similarly बेटा 20 और 30 पे भी function का value is the same 0, which means one C will exist such that f dash C will be 0. So in total, I have got 3 such C's such that when they are differentiated, the function ka value after differentiating at those C's is 0 using the Rolle's theorem. I have just used the Rolle's theorem in this. So again, this means that there are 3 critical points, one between 0 to 10, one between 10 and 20, and one between 20 and 30. So the correct answer to this question will be